The Memphis Canine Academy held its breath as the black Malinois bared his teeth. 3 handlers had failed. 1 was hospitalized. But nobody knew a 6-year-old girl was about to rewrite everything they believed about this uncontrollable dog. What happened when Emma walked into that cage didn't just shock the police department. It exposed a dark truth that would shake their entire canine program to its core. Before we start, make sure to hit like, share, and subscribe. Drop your country name in the comments. I love seeing how far our stories travel. The morning was calm, too calm. Officer Rachel Torres stood in her kitchen, staring at the empty dog bed in the corner. 8 months had passed. 8 months since Titan took 3 bullets meant for her. 8 months since she watched the light fade from his brown eyes on that blood-soaked pavement. The coffee maker gurgled. Steam rose in lazy spirals. She hadn't moved the bed. Couldn't bring herself to do it. The faded blue fabric still held the impression of his body. Sometimes, in those terrible moments between sleep and waking, she swore she heard his breathing. Rachel poured coffee into a chipped mug. Her hands were steady now. They hadn't been for months after the shooting. The department therapist said that was progress. Rachel wasn't sure she agreed. The gunshot still echoed in her nightmares. Sunlight filtered through thin curtains, painting golden stripes across worn hardwood floors. The house was small, a rental on the east side, close enough to the precinct that she could walk when she needed to clear her head, which was often. She caught her reflection in the microwave door. 34 years old, dark hair pulled back tight, eyes that had seen too much, too fast. She looked away. Her phone buzzed. A text from Deputy Chief Wade. "My office, 0800, non-negotiable." Rachel sighed. She knew what this was about. Wade had been pressuring her for weeks to accept a new canine partner. The department needed experienced handlers. They were short-staffed. She understood the logic, but logic didn't stop the guilt. She finished her coffee standing up, set the mug in the sink without rinsing it, grabbed her keys from the hook by the door. Her badge felt heavier than usual, clipped to her belt. The drive took 12 minutes. Memphis traffic was light this early. She parked in her usual spot, 3rd row back, under the oak tree that dropped acorns on her windshield every fall. The precinct smelled like burnt coffee and old paperwork. Fluorescent lights hummed overhead. Officers nodded as she passed. Some smiled. Others looked away. They all knew her story. Wade's office was on the 2nd floor. The door was open. He sat behind a desk, drowning in folders and printouts. 52 years old, gray at the temples, shoulders permanently hunched from decades behind that desk. He looked up when she knocked. "Come in, Torres. Close the door." She did, remained standing. Wade leaned back in his chair. It creaked under his weight. "You know why you're here." Rachel said nothing. "It's been 8 months. The department's been patient, more than patient, but we need you back in rotation." "I am back in rotation. You know what I mean. Canine rotation." Rachel crossed her arms. "I'm not ready." Wade's jaw tightened. "With respect, officer, that's not your call. You're one of the best handlers we've ever had. Your tracking record is unmatched. We've got 3 new dogs that need experienced partners. Then assign them to someone else." "There is no one else. Morrison's on medical leave. Chen transferred to narcotics. You're it." Silence stretched between them. Wade softened slightly. "Look, I get it. Losing Titan was traumatic. But sitting on the sidelines isn't helping you. It's not helping anyone." Rachel's throat tightened. "You didn't watch him die." "No, I didn't. But I've lost partners too. Human ones. And I know the only way through it is to keep moving forward." She wanted to argue, wanted to walk out. But Wade's expression told her this wasn't a request anymore. He pulled a folder from the stack, slid it across the desk. "There's a situation at the Canine Academy. A dog, Belgian Malinois, 18 months old. He's been through 3 handlers in 2 months." "What happened?" Wade hesitated. "They couldn't control him. One handler's in physical therapy, dislocated shoulder. Another refused to work with him after the first day. And you want me to take him. I want you to evaluate him, today. If you think he's salvageable, we'll talk next steps. If not, we put him down tomorrow." Rachel's stomach dropped. "Tomorrow? He's too dangerous, Torres. We've tried everything. This is his last shot." She stared at the folder. Didn't open it. What's his name? Wade's expression was unreadable. Phantom. The word hung in the air like smoke. Rachel felt something shift in her chest. Not hope exactly, but something close to curiosity. She picked up the folder. When do I meet him? Wade checked his watch. They're expecting you at the academy in 40 minutes. Rachel nodded once, turned toward the door. Wade's voice stopped her. Torres. Be careful. This one's different. She looked back. Different how? Wade met her eyes. He doesn't just bite. He hunts. Rachel left without another word. Her heart was pounding in a way it hadn't in months. She told herself it was dread. But somewhere deep down, beneath the grief and guilt, a spark of something else flickered. She had 40 minutes to decide if she was ready to trust again, if she was ready to risk losing someone else. The morning sun climbed higher. Memphis stretched awake around her. And somewhere across town, a black dog waited in a cage, wondering if this next human would be different, or if they'd hurt him like all the others. The Memphis Canine Academy sat on the outskirts of the city, surrounded by chain-link fences and training fields that stretched toward an empty horizon. Rachel pulled into the gravel lot just before 9. The air smelled like cut grass and diesel fuel. She stepped out of her truck. The folder Wade gave her remained on the passenger seat. She hadn't opened it during the drive, didn't want preconceptions clouding her judgment. A young officer approached, maybe 25. Nervous energy radiated off him. Officer Torres? I'm Daniels. They sent me to bring you to the isolation wing. Isolation wing? Rachel's stomach tightened. She followed him past the main building, past kennels where German shepherds and Malinois barked and paced, past obstacle courses and bite sleeves hanging from posts like shed skins. They reached a separate structure, cinder block walls, narrow windows reinforced with wire mesh. Daniels hesitated at the door. Ma'am, I should warn you. He's been agitated since dawn. We had to move 2 handlers out of the adjacent rooms. Rachel nodded. Open it. Inside, the hallway was dim. Fluorescent tubes flickered overhead. The smell hit her immediately. Fear, urine, desperation. 4 isolation cages lined the left wall. 3 were empty. The 4th held Phantom. Rachel stopped 10 feet back. He was smaller than she expected. Lean, maybe 60 pounds. His coat was solid black, unusual for a Malinois. It absorbed the weak light, making him look like a shadow given teeth. But it was his eyes that locked her in place. Amber, burning, not with wildness, with something worse. Intelligence mixed with rage. His ribs pressed against black fur. Every muscle was visible beneath his coat. Scars crossed his shoulders, fresh ones. He didn't bark, didn't lunge, he stared. Daniels cleared his throat. Deputy Chief Wade wants to observe. He's in the viewing room. Rachel glanced up. A small window overlooked the hall. Wade's silhouette stood behind the glass. She turned back to Phantom. What happened with the last handler? Daniels shifted his weight. Sergeant Hayes. He got too close during feeding. Phantom went for his throat. Would have succeeded if Hayes hadn't been wearing a reinforced collar for demonstration earlier that day. And the others? First handler quit after Phantom destroyed a bite sleeve, ripped it completely apart in under 30 seconds. Second handler tried dominance training. Phantom put him on his back, dislocated his shoulder, slamming him into the fence. Rachel studied the dog. He hadn't moved, hadn't blinked. Has anyone tried approaching him without force? Daniels frowned. Ma'am? Without commands, without equipment, just talking. That's not protocol. Protocol put 3 men out of commission. Daniels said nothing. Rachel handed him her badge and radio. If this goes wrong, I don't want him grabbing anything that could hurt him. Wait, you're going in? That's why I'm here. She walked toward the cage. Her boots echoed on concrete. Phantom's ears swiveled forward. His body remained perfectly still. Rachel stopped 5 feet from the bars. Hey, buddy. Her voice was soft, conversational, like she was greeting a neighbor. Phantom's eyes narrowed. I know you're scared. I know people have hurt you. I can see it in your eyes. A low growl rumbled from his chest. Rachel didn't flinch. I get it. You don't trust me. Why would you? Every human you've met has either hurt you or tried to control you. The growl faded. Barely. But Rachel noticed. She crouched slowly, made herself smaller, less threatening. I lost my partner 8 months ago. His name was Titan. He died protecting me, and I've been so angry at the world since then. Angry at myself, because I should have been faster, should have seen the threat. Phantom's head tilted, just a fraction. Rachel's throat tightened. I know what it's like to lose someone you love. I know what it's like to feel like the world's decided you're broken. Silence. Then, something impossible happened. Phantom took one step toward the front of the cage, then another. His movements were fluid, controlled, not aggressive. He stopped at the bars. Rachel held her breath. Phantom lowered himself to his stomach. Slowly, deliberately, he extended his right paw through the gap between bars. It hung in the air, trembling slightly. Rachel's eyes burned. She reached out. Her fingers touched his paw pad. It was rough, scarred. Phantom didn't pull away. Behind her, Daniels exhaled sharply. Rachel heard the viewing room door open. Wade's footsteps approached. Taurus, what are you doing? Rachel didn't turn. Connecting. That dog is classified as dangerous. You need to step back. She ignored him, focused on Phantom. You want out of here, don't you? Phantom's ears flattened, not in aggression, in something closer to hope. All right, show me what you've got. She stood slowly, looked at Daniels. Open the cage. Are you insane? Wade's voice cut through. Taurus, I gave you an evaluation task, not a suicide mission. Rachel finally turned. If I can't trust him, you're putting him down anyway. So what's the difference? The difference is liability. The difference is he deserves a chance. Silence hung heavy. Wade's jaw worked. Fine, but you sign a waiver, and we have 3 handlers on standby with tranquilizers. Rachel nodded. Daniels unlocked the cage with shaking hands. The door swung open with a metallic screech. Phantom stood. Every eye in the building was on him. He walked out slowly. No aggression, no hesitation. He moved directly to Rachel's left side. Sat down, perfectly aligned with her leg. Rachel's breath caught. Wade stared. That's not possible. He mauled Hayes in that exact position. Phantom's gaze fixed on Wade. The growl returned. Low, threatening. Wade took a step back. Rachel placed her hand on Phantom's head. Easy. The growl stopped instantly. Daniels whispered to another handler nearby. Did you see that? He actually listened. Rachel looked down at Phantom. His amber eyes met hers. In them she saw pain, trauma, rage held barely in check. But also something else. Recognition. This wasn't a random dog acting unpredictably. This was a soldier who'd watched his world burn. He'd learned that humans brought pain. And somehow, in the space of 5 minutes, he'd decided Rachel was different. Wade approached cautiously. All right, you've got his attention. But can you control him? Rachel met his stare. I don't want to control him. I want to partner with him. That's not how canine units work. Maybe that's the problem. Wade's expression hardened. You have 72 hours. Promote he's stable, or we proceed with euthanasia. Rachel felt Phantom tense beside her. She placed her hand on his shoulders, felt the muscles coiled tight beneath fur. We'll prove it. Wade turned and left. Daniels lingered. Ma'am, you're taking him home? Rachel looked at Phantom. He stand back, waiting. Yeah, I am. Good luck. She'd need it. The drive home was silent. Phantom sat in the back seat of Rachel's truck, staring out the window. He didn't pant, didn't shift position, just watched Memphis roll past with those burning amber eyes. Rachel glanced at him in the rearview mirror. You're quiet. No response. She hadn't expected one. They pulled into her driveway just after noon. The house looked smaller than usual, more fragile, like bringing Phantom inside might shatter something she'd been carefully holding together. He opened the back door. Phantom jumped down gracefully, landed without sound. Inside, he moved through each room methodically, nose to the ground, ears swiveling, cataloging every scent, every corner, every potential threat. Rachel watched from the kitchen doorway. This was assessment, military behavior. When Phantom reached Titan's old bed, he stopped, sniffed deeply. His body went rigid. Rachel's chest tightened. That was my partner's. He's gone now. Phantom looked at her. Something passed between them. Understanding, maybe. Shared loss. He moved on without disturbing the bed. Rachel filled 2 bowls, water and kibble, set them on the floor. Phantom approached cautiously, sniffed the food, didn't eat. It's okay, it's safe. He waited until she stepped back, then ate quickly, efficiently. No enjoyment, pure function. Afterward came the hard part. Rachel ran warm water in the bathroom sink, grabbed an old towel and gentle soap. Phantom followed her but stopped at the threshold. She knelt. "I need to check you over. Make sure you're not hurt." His eyes narrowed. "I won't hurt you, I promise." Seconds ticked past. Then Phantom entered, stood stiffly while Rachel began. She worked slowly, started with his shoulders. Her fingers found the scars immediately, long ones, crisscrossing his back. "What did they do to you?" She moved to his neck. Beneath the thick fur, she felt raised tissue, circular patterns. Her stomach dropped. "Oh, buddy." She parted the fur carefully. The scars were unmistakable, burn marks, evenly spaced, the signature of shock collar abuse. Fresh ones overlapped old ones. Rachel's hands trembled. "Jesus, who did this to you?" Phantom whined, low, pained. She fought back tears. "I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry they hurt you." She finished the examination in silence. Found more scars on his legs, his ribs, evidence of systematic cruelty, disguised as training. When she was done, Phantom shook himself, walked to the living room, lay down facing the front door. Not relaxed, on guard. Rachel sat on the couch, exhausted. It was barely 2 in the afternoon, but she felt hollowed out. Her phone buzzed. Text from her partner, Officer Jake Morrison. "Heard you brought home the demon dog. You insane?" She typed back. "Probably." 3 dots appeared. Disappeared. Then, "Need backup?" "Not yet." She set the phone down, looked at Phantom. He hadn't moved, hadn't closed his eyes. "You can rest, you know. You're safe here." His ears flicked, but he didn't turn. That night, Rachel barely slept. Every sound brought Phantom to full alert. A car door slamming 3 houses down. Wind rattling the fence. A cat yowling in the distance. Each time he'd rise silently, position himself between Rachel's bedroom door and the noise. Wait until the threat passed. Rachel watched from bed. This wasn't pet behavior. This was protection detail. At 4 in the morning, her alarm was set for 6. She was still awake, staring at the ceiling, when Phantom appeared in her doorway. He stared at her, unblinking. "Can't sleep either?" He padded to the bedside, sat down, placed his head on the mattress near her hand. Rachel's breath caught. Slowly, carefully, she touched his ears. Phantom closed his eyes. For the first time since she'd met him, his body relaxed. They stayed like that until dawn. The next morning brought new revelations. Rachel's alarm went off at 6. She reached for it, still half asleep. It wasn't ringing. She checked the time. 5:57. Phantom sat beside the bed, staring at her. "How did you know?" He tilted his head. Over the next 3 days, it happened repeatedly. Phantom woke her exactly 3 minutes before her alarm. Every single time. Jake came by on day 2. Knocked on the door. Rachel opened it with Phantom at her side. Jake froze. "That's him?" Rachel nodded. "Phantom, this is Jake. He's a friend." Phantom's gaze fixed on Jake's hip, where his service weapon sat. Jake noticed. Rach? Why's he staring at my gun?" Rachel frowned. She hadn't noticed before, but now she saw it. Phantom wasn't looking at Jake. He was assessing threat level based on equipment. "He's reading you. That's not comforting." Jake entered slowly. Phantom tracked every movement, but didn't growl, didn't tense. They moved to the kitchen. Rachel made coffee. Jake sat at the table. "So Wade gave you 72 hours? Yeah. How you planning to prove he's stable?" "Able? I don't know yet." Jake watched Phantom, who'd positioned himself with a clear sightlines to both exits. "That's tactical positioning. Military dogs do that." Rachel poured coffee. "He's trained, really trained. Way beyond standard canine work." "Then why'd he attack those handlers?" "I don't think he attacked them. I think he defended himself." Jake's eyebrows rose. "Against what?" Rachel told him about the shock collar scars, the burn marks, the systematic abuse disguised as control. Jake's expression darkened. "Jesus. That's not training. That's torture. Which explains why he doesn't trust anyone, except you." Rachel had no answer for that. Jake stood to leave. As he passed Phantom, he reached out slowly. Phantom's lip curled. "Easy, big guy. Just saying goodbye." Phantom's eyes tracked Jake's hand. Then, something strange happened. Jake's hand moved toward Phantom's head. In a flash, Phantom shifted, not aggressively, precisely. He redirected Jake's hand away from his head, toward his shoulder. The movement was so smooth, Jake barely registered it. Rachel did. What was that? Jake blinked. What was what? He just redirected your hand, away from a vulnerable area. That's not normal dog behavior, Rach. I know. After Jake left, Rachel ran tests. She gave Phantom commands she'd never taught him. Sit, stay, down, heel, search. He obeyed every single one. She used hand signals. Military ones she'd learned years ago, but never used with Titan. Phantom responded instantly. She set up a scenario, hid her keys in the backyard, gave Phantom the search command. He found them in 45 seconds. That evening, Rachel called the number Wade had given her. The Canine Academy coordinator. I need Phantom's full history. Everything. Ma'am, most of his file is restricted. Then unrestrict it. I don't have that authority. Who does? Silence. Then. I'd have to check with DOD. Department of Defense? He's a police dog. The coordinator's voice dropped. Not originally. The line went dead. Rachel sat in her living room. Phantom lay at her feet. She looked down at him. What are you? He stared back, silent. Those amber eyes holding secrets she was only beginning to uncover. Outside, a neighbor's dog barked. A German shepherd. Big, aggressive. Phantom's ears swiveled. He stood, walked to the window. The shepherd was in the front yard across the street, barking at a passing jogger, straining against its chain. Phantom watched. Didn't bark. Didn't growl. He simply stared. The shepherd turned, saw Phantom in the window. Its barking intensified. Furious, challenging. Phantom remained motionless. 10 seconds passed. 20. The shepherd's barking faltered. Its ears dropped. It whimpered once, then turned and retreated to its doghouse. Without Phantom making a single sound, Rachel felt ice slide down her spine. Jake was right. This wasn't instinct. This was dominance on a level she'd never witnessed. Her phone rang. Unknown number. She answered. Hello? A man's voice, rough, older. Officer Torres? Yes. Who is this? My name is Sergeant Dominic Collins. I need to talk to you about the dog you're housing. It's urgent. Rachel tightened her grip on the phone. How do you know about Phantom? The voice on the other end was steady, controlled. Because I've been looking for him for 8 months. She glanced at Phantom. He stood near the window, perfectly still, listening. Who are you? I told you, Sergeant Dominic Collins. I was a canine handler. Special operations. Before my medical discharge. What do you want? To make sure he's safe. To tell you what they won't. Rachel's pulse quickened. Tell me what? Not over the phone. Can you meet me? Tomorrow morning. There's a diner on Poplar Avenue. Pete's Place. You know it? I know it. 7 o'clock. Come alone. Bring Phantom if he'll ride with you. The line went dead. Rachel stared at her phone. Phantom turned from the window. His eyes locked on hers. Looks like we're getting answers. The next morning came cold and gray. Rachel loaded Phantom into the truck at 6:30. He jumped in without hesitation now, claimed the passenger seat like he owned it. The drive took 20 minutes. Pete's Place sat wedged between a laundromat and a pawn shop. Neon sign flickering, half the letters burned out. Rachel parked in back, scanned the lot. One other vehicle, a black pickup with government plates. She looked at Phantom. Stay. Close. They entered together. The diner smelled like bacon grease and burnt coffee. Only 3 customers, an elderly couple in a corner booth, and a man sitting alone by the window. Mid-50s, graying hair buzzed military short, broad shoulders, a cane leaned against the table beside him. His eyes found Phantom immediately. Something shifted in his expression. Pain, recognition, relief. He stood slowly, favoring his left leg. Officer Torres. Rachel approached cautiously. Phantom pressed against her leg. His body tense but not aggressive. Collins stared at Phantom. His jaw worked. When he spoke, his voice was rough. You look just like her. Like who? Your mother, Reaper. Phantom's ears swiveled forward. Rachel slid into the booth across from Collins. Phantom sat at her feet. Alert. Collins sat back down, placed both hands on the table, steady. But Rachel saw the tremor in his fingers. I need to see his chip. Rachel frowned. Why? To confirm what I already know. She hesitated, then nodded. Collins reached down slowly. Phantom's lip curled. Easy, boy. I'm not going to hurt you. Collins pulled a handheld scanner from his jacket, the kind vets used. He held it out, letting Phantom sniff it first. Phantom allowed him to scan his shoulder. The device beeped. A code flashed across the screen. K9 Spec 092, Reaper P1. Collins closed his eyes, breathed out slowly. It's him. Rachel leaned forward. Start talking. Collins set the scanner down, signaled the waitress, ordered coffee for both of them. When she left, he spoke quietly. 3 years ago, I was selected for a classified program. Project Sentinel, run jointly by DoD and Homeland Security. The goal was to breed and train canines specifically for hostage rescue and civilian protection operations. Rachel listened. Phantom's breathing had slowed. He was listening too. We weren't training attack dogs. We were training protectors, dogs that could assess threats, prioritize civilian safety, and neutralize dangers with minimal force. Sounds impossible. It nearly was. Took 2 years to get the breeding right. We needed intelligence, restraint, and protective instinct in perfect balance. Most dogs washed out, but not Reaper. Collins' expression softened. No, not Reaper. She was extraordinary. Belgian Malinois. Black coat, amber eyes. Smart as any human I've worked with. Maybe smarter. He paused. The coffee arrived. He wrapped both hands around the mug. She was my partner for 18 months. We ran 12 missions together. Hostage situations, active shooters, bomb threats. She saved 43 lives that I know of. Never killed anyone. That was the program's mandate. Neutralize, don't eliminate. What happened to her? Collins's jaw tightened. Mission went bad. Warehouse outside Knoxville. Trafficking ring. 18 hostages, mostly women and kids. Intelligence said 4 hostiles. There were 9. He stopped, swallowed hard. We breached at 0400. Everything went sideways in 30 seconds. They knew we were coming. Opened fire the moment we entered. Collins's hand shook. He steadied it with the other. Reaper put herself between the hostages and the shooters, took 3 rounds, kept fighting until every civilian was clear. I got hit too. Shattered femur. By the time backup arrived, she was gone. Rachel's throat tightened. I'm sorry. Collins looked at Phantom. His eyes were wet. She was pregnant. We didn't know until after. The program did a field necropsy, found 1 pup, alive. They performed an emergency extraction. Phantom. Collins nodded. He was 4 months old when she died. Old enough to remember. Old enough to understand. The diner was quiet, except for the hum of the refrigerator. The elderly couple left. The waitress refilled their cups without speaking. Rachel broke the silence. Why didn't the program keep him? They tried, but Phantom wouldn't bond with the new handlers. He'd seen what happened to his mother. Watched her die protecting strangers. It broke something in him. So they sent him to the police academy. Collins's expression darkened. Not immediately. First, they tried corrective training. Rachel felt ice in her stomach. The shock collars. Collins's hands clenched into fists. I didn't know until later. I was in rehab for 6 months. Physical therapy. By the time I got out and started asking questions, Phantom had already been transferred to Memphis K9. And they abused him. They tried to break his will, make him submissive, compliant. They didn't understand that Sentinel dogs aren't supposed to be controlled. They're supposed to be partnered with. Rachel looked down at Phantom. He was staring at Collins. Not with aggression, with something that looked almost like recognition. Does he remember you? Collins' voice cracked. I don't know. He was so young. Phantom stood slowly, walked around the table, stopped in front of Collins. Collins froze. Phantom sniffed his hand, then his leg, the injured one. He sat down, placed his head on Collins's knee. Collins broke. Tears ran down his weathered face. He placed a trembling hand on Phantom's head. I'm sorry, buddy. I'm so sorry I wasn't there. Phantom closed his eyes. Rachel had to look away. The moment was too raw, too private. After a minute, Collins composed himself. Phantom returned to Rachel's side. Collins wiped his face. You need to know what he's capable of. What they trained into his bloodline. Tell me. Sentinel dogs have 3 core directives: protect civilians above all else, assess threats with precision, neutralize using minimum necessary force. Phantom inherited all of that from Reaper. But the trauma layered something else on top. What? Distrust. He won't follow commands from someone he doesn't trust. And after what they did to him, he doesn't trust anyone. Except Rachel. Collins studied her. Why you? Rachel shook her head. I don't know. I just talked to him. Told him I understood. Collins smiled faintly. That's what Reaper responded to. Honesty. She could sense intent. Looks like Phantom can too. Rachel's phone buzzed. Text from Wade. Evaluation due tomorrow. Status report? She looked at Collins. They want to put him down if I can't prove he's stable. Collins's expression hardened. You can't let that happen. I don't plan to. But I need leverage. Proof that he's not dangerous. He's not dangerous. He's protective. There's a difference. Try explaining that to Deputy Chief Wade. Collins reached into his jacket, pulled out a USB drive, slid it across the table. What's this? Mission footage. Reaper's last operation. And documentation of the abuse Phantom endured during corrective training. It's classified, but I don't care anymore. Use it. Rachel pocketed the drive. This could cost you. I'm already out. Medical discharge. They can't touch me. Why are you helping? Collins looked at Phantom. Because I owe his mother my life. And because he deserves better than what they've given him. Rachel stood. Thank you. Collins nodded. One more thing. If he ever becomes unresponsive or aggressive, don't fight him. He's not attacking, he's protecting. Figure out what the threat is and remove it. He'll stand down. Rachel absorbed that. Understood. They left the diner together. In the parking lot, Collins crouched slowly. His bad leg made it difficult. He held out his hand. Phantom approached, sniffed, then licked Collins's palm once. Collins smiled through tears. You're a good boy. Just like your mama. He stood with effort, looked at Rachel. Take care of him. I will. Collins limped to his truck, drove away without looking back. Rachel loaded Phantom into her truck. He jumped in smoothly, settled into the passenger seat. She started the engine, looked at him. Your mom was a hero. Phantom turned his amber eyes on her. And so are you. Rachel spent the afternoon reviewing the USB drive Collins had given her. The footage was damning. Handlers striking Phantom with batons. Shot collars activated repeatedly. A young dog trembling in a cage, barely a year old. Her hands shook watching it. The mission footage of Reaper was worse. Watching the dog sacrifice herself to save strangers. The final moments before she fell. Rachel understood now. Phantom hadn't just lost his mother. He'd lost his faith in humanity. She closed her laptop, looked at Phantom sleeping near the door. Still on guard even in rest. Tomorrow she'd present her findings to Wade. Tonight she had community outreach. Every month, Memphis PD ran programs at local schools. Building trust. Showing kids that police were people too. Rachel had volunteered before Titan died. Hadn't been back since. But Wade's email that morning had been clear. Mandatory attendance. Lincoln Elementary. 4 o'clock. She checked her watch. 3:15. Come on, buddy. We've got somewhere. Where to be? Phantom rose instantly, alert. They arrived at Lincoln Elementary at 3:50. The school was old brick, playground equipment rusted at the joints. Chain link fence separating it from the street. Kids poured out the main entrance. Buses lined up. Parents in cars waiting. Rachel parked near the gymnasium entrance. The community event was inside. Jake's cruiser was already there. She left Phantom in the truck, windows cracked. You'll be okay for an hour? Phantom stared at her, unblinking. She locked the door, headed inside. The gym smelled like floor wax and sweat. 20 kids sat in a semicircle, parents standing behind them. Jake was demonstrating his duty belt to a group of boys. He saw Rachel, waved her over. Glad you made it. Wade said you were coming. Rachel forced a smile. Wouldn't miss it. She spent 40 minutes talking to kids, showing them her badge, explaining what officers did. It felt hollow without Titan. He'd been the real star at these events. A little girl sat alone in the back, maybe 6 years old, dark hair in 2 ponytails. She wasn't watching the demonstrations. She was drawing. Rachel approached. Hey there, what's your name? The girl didn't look up, kept drawing. Rachel glanced at the elderly woman standing behind her. The woman smiled sadly. "This is Emma, my granddaughter. She doesn't speak much." Rachel knelt down, studied the drawing. It was a dog, black. Remarkably detailed for a child's work. "You like dogs?" Emma's pencil kept moving, adding shading, texture. "She loves them." The grandmother's voice was gentle. Ever since the accident, dogs are the only thing she draws. Rachel wanted to ask about the accident, decided against it. "That's a beautiful picture." Emma finally looked up. Her eyes were dark, intelligent. She pointed at Rachel's shoulder, where a canine unit patch would normally be. Rachel's throat tightened. "I used to have a partner, a dog. He's not with me anymore." Emma's expression didn't change. She returned to her drawing. The grandmother introduced herself. "Mrs. Chen. I'm Emma's grandmother. We live just a few blocks from here." Rachel stood, shook her hand. "Officer Torres, are you with the canine unit?" "I was. I'm on leave right now." Mrs. Chen smiled. "Emma would love to meet a police dog someday. If you ever bring one to these events." Rachel nodded. "Maybe someday." The event wrapped up at 4:45. Jake helped fold chairs. Rachel headed for the exit. Outside, the parking lot was chaos. Parents loading kids into cars, buses pulling away, teachers directing traffic. Rachel walked toward her truck. Something felt wrong. She looked around, couldn't place it. Then she saw Phantom, standing in the truck bed. He'd somehow gotten out of the cab. His body was rigid, staring toward the street. Rachel's instincts flared. She followed his gaze. A white van idled across the street. Tinted windows, engine running. Nothing obviously wrong. But Phantom was trembling, not from fear, from restraint. Rachel's radio crackled. "All units, be advised. Amber alert active. White van, no plates visible. Suspected child abduction attempt reported near Riverside Park." Her blood turned to ice. Riverside Park was 2 miles away. She looked back at the van. It hadn't moved. Then she saw Emma. The little girl had wandered away from her grandmother, was walking toward the sidewalk, heading for the crosswalk. The van's door slid open. Rachel's heart stopped. She ran. "Mrs. Chen, get Emma." But Mrs. Chen was 20 feet away, talking to another parent. She didn't hear. Emma reached the curb. A man stepped out of the van. 30s, nondescript, smiling. He crouched down, said something to Emma, held out his hand. Emma hesitated. Rachel was 30 feet away. Too far. The man reached for Emma's arm. Behind Rachel, glass shattered. Phantom exploded through the truck's rear window, landed on pavement, didn't break stride. He was a black blur, pure speed, pure purpose. Rachel shouted, "Phantom, no!" But he wasn't attacking recklessly. His trajectory was calculated, precise. He closed the distance in 4 seconds. The man heard him coming, turned. His eyes went wide. Phantom launched, but not at the man. He positioned himself between Emma and the threat. Landed in a defensive crouch, every muscle coiled, lips pulled back, a growl that sounded like grinding metal. The man stumbled backward, fell, scrambled toward the van. A second man emerged from the driver's side, taller. He had something in his hand, a knife. Phantom saw it instantly. His entire demeanor shifted. This wasn't defense anymore. This was engagement. The second man lunged. Phantom moved like water, sidestepped, clamped jaws around the man's wrist. Not biting through, controlling. The man screamed, dropped the knife. Phantom twisted, used the man's momentum against him, slammed him into the side of the van. The first man was back on his feet, running for the driver's door. Phantom released the second man, pivoted, leaped. He caught the door before it closed. Jaws locked on the man's jacket, dragged him back out. Both men on the ground now. Phantom standing over them, not biting, not mauling, containing. Rachel reached them, gun drawn. On the ground, hands behind your heads. The men complied, terrified. Emma stood on the sidewalk, frozen, silent tears running down her face. Mrs. Chen arrived. Scooped Emma into her arms. "Oh my God, oh my God." Sirens wailed in the distance. Jake burst from the gym. "Rachel, what happened?" Rachel kept her gun trained on the men. "Call it in. Attempted abduction. 2 suspects in custody." Jake's eyes went to Phantom. He didn't move. Still standing guard. Still ready. Holy hell, a crowd had formed. Parents, teachers, kids. Phones out, recording. Rachel's hands were steady. Phantom, heel. He came immediately. Sat at her left side, blood on his muzzle. Not his own. Backup arrived 90 seconds later. 4 cruisers. Officers cuffed the suspects, loaded them into cars. A detective approached Rachel. "Officer Torres, I need your statement." She gave it, kept it factual, emotionless. The entire time, Phantom sat beside her, calm now, like nothing had happened. The detective looked at him. "That's the dog from the academy? The dangerous one?" Rachel met his eyes. He just saved a little girl's life. The detective had no response. "Mrs. Chen approached with Emma. The little girl's face was buried in her grandmother's shoulder. "Officer Torres," Mrs. Chen's voice shook. "Thank you. If you hadn't been here, if your dog hadn't." Rachel placed a hand on her arm. "She's safe. That's what matters." Emma lifted her head, looked at Phantom. Her eyes were red from crying. She reached out slowly, trembling. Phantom didn't move, waited. Emma's small hand touched his head. She left it there. Then she did something that made Rachel's chest tighten. She smiled. First time since the accident. Mrs. Chen whispered it. She hasn't smiled in 2 years. Phantom leaned into Emma's touch. Gentle. So impossibly gentle for a dog that had just taken down 2 grown men. Emma's lips moved. No sound came out at first. Then, barely audible. "Good dog." 2 words. But they shattered something in Rachel. She looked around. At least 50 people had witnessed this. Phones everywhere. Video of everything. Jake appeared at her shoulder. "Rach, that footage is going to be everywhere by tonight." "I know. Wade's going to have a hell of a time justifying putting Phantom down now." Rachel looked down at Phantom. He was still letting Emma pet him. Patient. Protective. "Yeah, he is." The crowd began to disperse. Parents taking kids home. Officers finishing their reports. Rachel loaded Phantom back into the truck. The shattered window would need replacing. She sat in the driver's seat, hands on the wheel, not moving. Phantom nuzzled her arm. She looked at him. "You're not broken. You never were." His amber eyes held hers. "You're exactly what you were bred to be, a protector." Her phone buzzed. Text from an unknown number. "Footage is viral. 10 million views in an hour. Check the news." Rachel opened her browser. The video was everywhere. Local news, national outlets, social media. Memphis police dog saves child from abduction. The comments were flooding in. Thousands, tens of thousands. "That dog is a hero. Why was he almost put down?" Rachel closed her phone, started the engine. Tomorrow she'd face Wade. Tomorrow she'd fight for Phantom's future. Tonight, she just wanted to go home, with her partner. Rachel's phone rang at 6 in the morning. She answered without checking the caller. "Torres." Deputy Chief Wade's voice was tight. "My office, 7 o'clock. Bring the dog." The line went dead. Rachel set the phone down. Phantom was already awake, sitting by the door, ready. She dressed quickly, fed Phantom. He ate without enthusiasm, like he knew something was coming. The drive to the precinct was quiet. Morning traffic hadn't started yet. The city was gray and cold. Rachel parked in her usual spot. Phantom jumped out beside her. They walked through the main entrance together. Officers stopped what they were doing, stared. Some nodded, others whispered. Jake intercepted them near the stairs. His expression was grim. "Wade's been in his office since 5. He's got the brass with him, internal affairs, even the chief." Rachel's stomach tightened. "That bad?" Jake hesitated. The video hit 100 million views overnight. News outlets are calling it a miracle. But IA's asking questions about why a dangerous dog was in the field at all. "He wasn't in the field. He was in my truck." Doesn't matter to them. They want accountability. Rachel looked down at Phantom. He stared back, trusting. "Let's get this over with." They climbed to the 2nd floor. Wade's door was closed. Voices filtered through. Tense, arguing. Rachel knocked. The voices stopped. Wade's voice called out, "Enter." She opened the door. Phantom followed at her heel. The office was crowded. Wade behind his desk, Chief Morrison standing beside him. 2 IA officers in chairs. And someone Rachel didn't recognize. A woman in a dark suit, federal bearing. Chief Morrison spoke first. "Officer Torres, thank you for coming." Rachel stood at attention. Phantom sat perfectly beside her. The chief gestured to the woman. "This is Special Agent Brennan. Department of Defense, Canine Operations Division. Brennan stepped forward, her eyes locked on Phantom. Assessing. Professional. Officer Torres, I've been reviewing the incident from yesterday, and the dog's history. Rachel said nothing. Brennan continued. Phantom was part of a classified breeding program, Project Sentinel. His mother was a Tier 1 operational asset. He should never have been transferred to civilian law enforcement. Then why was he? Brennan's jaw tightened. Administrative error. Compounded by incomplete records and miscommunication between agencies. One of the IA officers leaned forward. The issue isn't his background. It's his behavior. 3 handlers injured. Classified as dangerous. Then Officer Torres takes him home, and 4 days later he's in a public space where children are present. He saved a child's life. The officer's expression didn't change. He also destroyed property and engaged 2 suspects without authorization. He was protecting an innocent. Wade cut in. Torres, we're not disputing what happened. We're determining whether proper protocols were followed. Rachel's hands clenched. With respect, sir, protocols would have had that dog euthanized. That little girl would be missing right now if I'd followed protocols. Silence filled the room. Chief Morrison cleared his throat. The optics are complicated. Publicly, Phantom's a hero. The video's everywhere. We're getting calls from national media. The mayor wants a press conference. But internally, the IA officer continued. We have significant concerns about liability and chain of command. Brennan spoke again, her tone measured. I've been authorized to make an offer. DoD would like to reintegrate Phantom into federal service. Full reinstatement to Project Sentinel. Proper training. Proper handlers. Rachel's heart dropped. You want to take him. We want to utilize him appropriately. Dogs with his lineage and training are extremely rare. He could save lives on a national level. He's already saving lives. Brennan's expression softened slightly. Officer Torres, I understand you formed a bond. But Phantom is a military asset. He was bred for a specific purpose. He's a living being, not equipment. Wade stood. Torres, you need to consider this seriously. The alternative is continued IA investigation, possible disciplinary action, and uncertainty about Phantom's future. Rachel looked down at Phantom. He was staring at Brennan, not aggressive, but wary. Can I have a moment alone with him? Chief Morrison nodded. 5 minutes. Everyone filed out. The door closed. Rachel knelt beside Phantom. His amber eyes met hers. They want to send you back, to people who might understand what you are, who might use you the way you were meant to be used. Phantom's ears flicked. But I don't know if they'll hurt you again. I don't know if they'll see you as a partner or a tool. She placed both hands on his head. I promised I'd keep you safe. I don't break promises. Phantom leaned into her touch, then did something she'd never seen him do. He placed his paw on her knee, pressed down gently. She understood. He was choosing. The door opened. Everyone returned. Rachel stood, faced Brennan. He stays with me. Brennan's expression hardened. Officer Torres, this isn't your decision. Actually, Chief Morrison interjected. It is. Phantom was transferred to Memphis PD. We have custody. Unless DoD wants to file a formal requisition and go through channels, he's ours. Brennan's eyes flashed. We will file that requisition. Then we'll see you in court. Chief Morrison's voice was steel. In the meantime, Officer Torres has 72 hours to complete her evaluation, which, based on yesterday's events, I'd say she's passed. The IA officer protested. Chief, we still have questions about protocol, which can be addressed through standard review, not by separating an effective canine team. Wade looked like he wanted to argue, stayed silent. Brennan stepped closer to Rachel. Her voice dropped. You don't understand what he's capable of, what he's been through. He needs specialized handling. I know exactly what he's been through. Rachel's voice was quiet, deadly. I've seen the footage, the abuse, the shock collars, the handlers who treated him like a weapon instead of a partner. Brennan flinched. So if you think I'm sending him back to that, you don't know me at all. Brennan held her gaze, then nodded slowly. Understood, but this isn't over. She left. The IA officers followed. Chief Morrison turned to Rachel. You just made an enemy of the Department of Defense. Rachel shrugged. Wouldn't be the first time. The chief almost smiled. Get out of here. Take Phantom home. Write up your incident report. And for God's sake, Fix your truck window. Yes, sir. Rachel and Phantom left. In the hallway, Jake was waiting. How'd it go? We're keeping him. Jake grinned. Hell yes. He paused. You know this means you're officially back on canine duty. Rachel looked at Phantom. Yeah, I know. They drove home in silence. Phantom stared out the window, watching Memphis wake up. Rachel's phone buzzed constantly. News requests, interview offers. She ignored them all. At home, she let Phantom into the backyard. He ran, actually ran. First time she'd seen him move without purpose, just joy. She sat on the back steps, watched him. Her phone rang. Mrs. Chen. Officer Torres, I hope I'm not bothering you. Not at all. Is Emma okay? She's wonderful. That's why I'm calling. She wants to see Phantom again. She's been drawing pictures of him all morning. Rachel smiled. We can arrange that. There's something else. Mrs. Chen's voice wavered. The doctors said Emma might never speak again after the accident. But this morning, she asked for breakfast. In full sentences. Rachel's throat tightened. Your dog gave me my granddaughter back. I don't know how to thank you. You just did. After they hung up, Rachel sat quietly. Phantom returned, lay down beside her, put his head on her lap. She stroked his ears. You're magic, you know that? He closed his eyes. That afternoon, Rachel reviewed Colin's USB drive again. The mission footage, the abuse documentation, the records of Project Sentinel. She burned copies. Stored them in 3 separate locations. Insurance. If DOD came for Phantom, she'd be ready. Her laptop pinged. Email from an address she didn't recognize. Subject line, thank you. She opened it. Officer Torres, you don't know me, but I was one of the hostages Reaper saved 3 years ago. I saw the video of her son yesterday. He has her eyes, her courage. Please take care of him. The world needs more dogs like them, and more handlers like you. Rachel read it 3 times. Phantom walked over, nuzzled her hand. Your mom was incredible. He stared at her. And you're going to be too. That evening, Jake stopped by with pizza. They ate in Rachel's kitchen. Phantom begged shamelessly. Jake tossed him a piece of crust. So what now? Rachel wiped her hands. Now we train. Officially. Get him certified. Prove he's not just stable, he's exceptional. Think Wade will go for it. He doesn't have a choice. Not after yesterday. Jake studied Phantom. You really think he's ready? For active duty? Rachel looked at Phantom. He was watching them both. Alert. Alert. Calm. He's been ready his whole life. He just needed someone to believe in him. Jake raised his beer. To Phantom, the most dangerous dog in Memphis. Rachel clinked her water bottle against it. To Phantom, the best partner I could ask for. Phantom's tail wagged. Outside, the sun set over Memphis. The sky turned orange and purple. Streetlights flickered on. Rachel stood at the window. Phantom joined her. Tomorrow they'd start training. Tomorrow they'd prove to everyone what she already knew, that broken things could heal, that trust could be rebuilt, that sometimes the most dangerous dogs were really just the most misunderstood. She placed her hand on his head. We're going to be okay. Phantom leaned against her leg. In the fading light, they stood together. Officer and canine. Partners, ready for whatever came next. 3 days after the incident, Rachel received a formal summons, not from Wade, from someone higher. The letter arrived by courier. Federal seal. Department of Defense letterhead. Phantom sat beside her as she read it. They wanted a meeting. Neutral location. To discuss Phantom's future. Final offer before legal proceedings began. Rachel called Collins, told him everything. His response was immediate. Don't go alone. I'll be there. The meeting was set for Thursday afternoon. A federal building downtown. 4th floor, conference room. Rachel arrived 15 minutes early. Phantom at her side. Collins waited in the lobby. He stood when he saw them. Ready for this? Rachel nodded. As ready as I'll ever be. They took the elevator up. Phantom stood perfectly still. Alert but not anxious. The conference room was sterile. Long table, leather chairs. Windows overlooking the city. Agent Brennan was already there. So was another man. Late 50s. Military uniform. Stars on his shoulders. Colonel Patterson. He extended his hand to Rachel. She shook it. Officer Torres, thank you for coming. Wasn't really a choice. Patterson smiled thinly. Please, sit. Rachel sat. Phantom lay at her feet. Collins took the chair beside her. Patterson opened a folder. Officer Torres, I've reviewed everything. The incident at Lincoln Elementary, your evaluation reports, the viral footage, even the classified files regarding Project Sentinel. He looked at Phantom. This dog represents a significant investment. Financially and strategically, his bloodline is unique. His training, even incomplete, is invaluable. Rachel kept her expression neutral. We're prepared to make a final offer. Patterson slid papers across the table. Phantom returns to federal custody. You receive recognition for your work with him, a commendation, and we'll ensure he's placed with handlers who understand his background. What about the abuse? Rachel's voice was cold. The shock collars, the handlers who beat him. Patterson's jaw tightened. That was a failure of oversight. It won't happen again. How can I trust that? Because I'm giving you my word. Collins leaned forward. With respect, Colonel, your word doesn't mean much to a dog who's been tortured by people wearing the same uniform you are. Patterson's eyes flashed. Sergeant Collins, I'm aware of your history with Project Sentinel and your medical discharge, but this conversation is above your clearance level. Collins didn't flinch. Then classify me. Court-martial me. I don't care. That dog deserves better than what you're offering. Agent Brennan interjected. This isn't about what anyone deserves. It's about national security. Phantom's capabilities could save lives on operations most people will never know about. He's already saving lives. Rachel's voice was steady. In Memphis, where people can actually see the difference he makes. Patterson closed the folder. Officer Torres, I understand your attachment, but you need to understand the bigger picture. Phantom isn't just a police dog. He's a weapon. A very specific, very valuable weapon. He's not a weapon. He's a partner. Semantics. Rachel stood. Phantom rose beside her. No, it's everything. She pulled out her own folder, placed it on the table. Inside were printed screenshots, news articles, social media posts. Since that video went viral, we've received 400 messages from people across the country, sharing their own stories of rescue dogs, service dogs, canine partners who saved their lives. Patterson glanced at the papers. Rachel continued, Phantom isn't valuable. Valuable because he's a weapon. He's valuable because he reminds people what loyalty looks like, what protection means, what happens when you treat an animal with respect instead of cruelty. Brennan's expression softened slightly. You want him for classified operations? Rachel's voice rose. For missions nobody will ever hear about? Fine, that's one life saved, maybe 10. But here, in Memphis, he's inspiring thousands. Changing how people see canine units, showing kids that police aren't the enemy. Patterson was silent. Collins added quietly. Reaper died saving strangers. She didn't do it because she was ordered to. She did it because that's who she was. Phantom's the same. You can't train that. You can't create it. You can only honor it. The room was quiet. Phantom's breathing was the only sound. Patterson finally spoke. You're asking me to walk away from a multi-million-dollar asset. I'm asking you to let him be what his mother was. Rachel met his eyes. A hero people can see. Patterson looked at Phantom for a long moment. The dog stared back, unafraid. The colonel sighed, closed his folder. If I agree, there are conditions. Name them. Phantom remains registered under federal oversight. Annual evaluations. If his behavior becomes erratic or dangerous, he returns to our custody immediately. Agreed. And you provide quarterly reports on his activities, training, operations, everything documented. Fine. Patterson stood, extended his hand. You're making a mistake, Officer Torres. He could do so much more. Rachel shook his hand. He's doing exactly what he's supposed to. Patterson and Brennan left without another word. Collins exhaled slowly. That was closer than I expected. Rachel sat down, hands shaking now. Yeah. Collins looked at Phantom. You okay, boy? Phantom's tail wagged once. They left the building together. Outside, the afternoon sun was bright. Memphis traffic hummed past. Collins stopped at his truck. I'm proud of you, both of you. Rachel smiled. Thank you, for everything. Collins crouched slowly. Phantom approached. Let the older man scratch his ears. Your mama would be proud too. Phantom licked his hand. Collins stood with effort. Stay in touch. If you ever need anything, you call me. I will. He drove away. Rachel loaded Phantom into her truck, sat in the driver's seat without starting the engine. We did it. Phantom nuzzled her arm. You're staying with me. No one's taking you away. Her phone buzzed. Text from Mrs. Chen. Emma's asking if Phantom can visit tomorrow. She wants to show him her drawings. Rachel smiled. Typed back, we'll be there. That evening, Wade called. His tone was different, almost respectful. Torres, I reviewed the DoD meeting notes. You handled that well. Thank you, sir. Chief Morrison wants Phantom officially certified. Full canine partner status. We're fast-tracking the process. Understood. And Torres? Wade paused. I was wrong. About him. About what he needed. Rachel's throat tightened. We all were. After they hung up, Rachel sat on her couch. Phantom jumped up beside her. First time he'd done that. She didn't stop him. They sat in comfortable silence. Partners. Finally official. Rachel pulled out the photo Collins had given her. Reaper in her tactical vest. Young Collins beside her. Both of them looking strong, confident. She set it on the mantel, next to Titan's collar. Two heroes, different, but the same. Phantom watched her, tilted his head. You come from a good line. He rested his head on her lap. And you're going to make them all proud. The next morning, they visited Emma. Mrs. Chen opened the door before Rachel could knock. She's been waiting by the window for an hour. Emma appeared, wearing a yellow dress, holding a folder. Hi, Emma. The little girl smiled, ran to Phantom, hugged him around the neck. Phantom stood perfectly still. Let her hold him. Emma pulled back, opened her folder. Inside were dozens of drawings, all of Phantom. Different poses, different scenes. One showed him standing between her and the bad men, protecting. Another showed him with wings, like an angel. Rachel's eyes burned. These are beautiful. Emma looked up. Can he stay, Mrs. Chen laughed gently. Sweetheart, he has to go home with Officer Torres. Emma's face fell. Rachel knelt. But we can visit, as much as you want. Every day? Rachel glanced at Mrs. Chen. She nodded. Every day. Emma threw her arms around Rachel. Then Phantom. Thank you for saving me. Phantom licked her face. She giggled, first time Rachel had heard her laugh. They stayed for an hour. Emma showed Phantom every drawing, explained each one in detail, her voice growing stronger with each sentence. When they left, Emma waved from the window. Phantom wagged his tail. In the truck, Rachel looked at him. You're good with kids. He stared ahead, dignified. Maybe that's your calling. Not operations, not raids, just protecting kids like Emma. His ear twitched, the only acknowledgement. That afternoon, Jake stopped by the precinct, found Rachel at her desk, heard the news. You're officially canine again, officially. How's it feel? Rachel looked out the window. Phantom was in the training yard, running obstacle courses, other handlers watching in amazement. It feels right. Jake followed her gaze. He's incredible. I've never seen a dog move like that. His mother was Tier 1. Jake whistled. Guess it runs in the family. They watched Phantom clear a 6-foot wall without breaking stride. He's going to change everything, Jake said quietly. How we train, how we partner. Kids are going to grow up wanting to be canine handlers because of him. Rachel smiled. That's the plan. Her phone buzzed. Email from a producer. National Morning Show. Requesting an interview. She deleted it. Jake noticed. Not interested in fame? I'm interested in doing the job. He grinned. That's why you're the best. Evening came. Rachel took Phantom home, fed him. They sat in the backyard as the sun set. Tomorrow they'd start official patrols. Tomorrow they'd be a real team. But tonight, they just existed. Together, safe. Phantom rested his head on her knee. She stroked his ears. I'm glad you found me. His eyes closed. Or maybe I found you. Stars appeared overhead. Memphis settled into night. Somewhere in the distance, sirens wailed, calls for help, emergencies. Tomorrow they'd answer those calls. Tonight they had peace. 3 months later, Memphis woke to news vans parked outside City Hall. The footage had been viewed over 200 million times. News outlets called it the Miracle Rescue. Social media exploded with tributes. Artists painted murals of Phantom on buildings across the city. Rachel tried to ignore it, but the mayor had other plans. The invitation arrived by official courier. Ceremony at City Hall, public commendation. Media presence expected. Rachel called Wade. Do I have to do this? His chuckle was dry. Mayor's orders. Bring Phantom. Wear your dress uniform. She hung up. looked at Phantom sprawled on the kitchen floor. We're famous, apparently. His tail thumped once, unimpressed. The ceremony was scheduled for Saturday afternoon. Rachel spent the morning grooming Phantom. His black coat gleamed. She fitted him with a new collar, no shock mechanisms, just leather and a brass nameplate, Phantom, T9 Unit, Memphis PD. They arrived at City Hall at 2. The steps were packed. News cameras, photographers, reporters shouting questions. Jake met them at the barrier. Ready for this circus? Not even a little. He grinned. Too bad. You're a hero now. Inside, the main hall was transformed. Stage at the front, chairs in rows, easily 300 people. Rachel's stomach churned. Phantom pressed against her leg, steady. Mrs. Chen and Emma sat in the front row. Emma waved excitedly. Phantom's tail wagged. Other faces Rachel recognized. Officers from the precinct, teachers from Lincoln Elementary, parents who'd been there that day. And in the back corner, leaning on his cane, Sergeant Collins. He nodded when their eyes met. The mayor took the stage. Tall, polished, political smile firmly in place. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us. Today we honor extraordinary courage, not just from our officers, but from a very special member of our police family. Applause rippled through the crowd. Officer Rachel Torres and her canine partner Phantom demonstrated what it means to serve and protect. In a moment of crisis, they acted without hesitation. Their actions saved 6-year-old Emma Chen from abduction. The mayor gestured to Emma. She stood shyly. More applause. But their impact goes beyond one rescue. The video of that day has inspired millions. It's changed how people see police canine units, how they understand the bond between handler and dog. Rachel shifted uncomfortably. Phantom sat perfectly still. Officer Torres, would you join me? Rachel walked to the stage. Phantom at her heel. Camera flashes exploded. The mayor shook her hand, presented her with a medal, Valor in the Line of Duty. Rachel accepted it, said the required thank you, tried to step back. Wait. The mayor smiled. We have something for Phantom too. An aide brought forward a custom vest, dark blue, Memphis PD patch on the side, and embroidered across the back, Hero. The crowd erupted. Rachel knelt. Fitted the vest on Phantom. He tolerated it with dignity. She leaned close, whispered, You look ridiculous. His ear twitched. The mayor spoke again. We also have special guests. Mrs. Chen and Emma would like to say a few words. Mrs. Chen helped Emma to the stage. The little girl held a microphone too big for her hands. She looked at Phantom. Her voice was clear now, strong. Phantom saved my life. I was scared, but he protected me. He's my hero. She walked to Phantom, wrapped her arms around his neck. He stood perfectly still, patient. Emma pulled back, held up a drawing. Phantom with wings again. She handed it to Rachel. For you, so you remember. Rachel's vision blurred. Thank you, Emma. The crowd clapped. Some people were crying. The mayor reclaimed the microphone. Let's hear it for Officer Torres and Phantom. Standing ovation. Deafening. Rachel endured it. Phantom waited beside her, unaffected by the noise. After the ceremony, the media descended. Rachel gave brief statements, deflected most questions. Phantom attracted more attention than she did. Children approached cautiously, parents asking if they could pet him. Rachel supervised each interaction. Phantom was gentle with every single child. Collins made his way through the crowd, put his hand on Rachel's shoulder. Reaper would be proud. Hell, I'm proud. Thank you for everything. He knelt with difficulty, looked Phantom in the eye. You're doing good work, son. Keep it up. Phantom's tail wagged. Collins stood, shook Rachel's hand. Call me if you need anything. I will. He limped away. Rachel watched him go, grateful. That evening, after the chaos ended, Rachel drove to a quiet spot overlooking the Mississippi River. Phantom sat beside her on the hood of the truck. The water reflected the setting sun, orange and gold rippling across the surface. A lot's changed in 3 months. Phantom stared at the horizon. We've done 12 patrols. 4 community events, 3 school visits. You've been perfect at every single one. His ear flicked toward her. Kids recognize you now. They run up wanting to meet the hero dog. You're more famous than me. She smiled. Not that I mind. A sat in comfortable silence. Watching the sun sink lower, Rachel pulled out her phone, scrolled through messages. Hundreds, people thanking them, sharing their own rescue stories, posting photos of their dogs. One message stood out. From a teenager in California. I was going to drop out of the police academy. Thought I wasn't strong enough. Then I saw your video. Now I'm graduating next month. Thank you for showing me what real strength looks like. Rachel read it aloud to Phantom. You're changing lives. Not just Emma's. Thousands of them. Phantom turned his head, looked at her with those amber eyes. Your mom saved people in the shadows. Nobody knew her name. But you're saving people in the light, where everyone can see. She scratched his ears. I think that's better, don't you? His tail thumped against the hood. The sun disappeared below the horizon. Darkness crept in. Stars emerged one by one. Rachel's radio crackled. All units. Domestic disturbance. Corner of 5th and Madison. Possible hostage situation. She looked at Phantom. Duty calls. He jumped down. Ready. They drove toward the call. Lights flashing. No siren. Rachel felt calm. Centered. For the first time since losing Titan, she felt whole. Because she had a partner again. Not a replacement. Someone new. Someone extraordinary. They arrived at the scene. Jake was already there, setting up a perimeter. What have we got? Boyfriend barricaded inside with girlfriend. Neighbors heard screaming. He's got priors for assault. Windows. One in back. Rest are covered. Rachel studied the house. Single story. Small yard. Fence around back. Phantom was already focused. Reading the situation. Rachel radioed dispatch. K9 unit on scene. Requesting negotiator. Copy. Pie that. ETA 10 minutes. She approached the front door with Jake, Phantom between them. Police, we need you to come out. No response. Then a woman's scream, cut off abruptly. Rachel's heart rate spiked. We're going in. Jake nodded. Grabbed the ram. One hit, the door splinged open. Rachel entered first, Phantom right behind. Living room clear, kitchen clear. Sounds from the bedroom. Crying. A man's voice, threatening. Rachel moved down the hallway. Phantom's body was coiled, ready. She reached the bedroom door, opened 6 inches. Inside, a man held a woman against the wall, his hand on her throat, kitchen knife in the other hand. Police, let her go. The man spun, wild eyes. Intoxicated or high? Maybe both. Get out. This is none of your business. Sir, put down the knife. Let her go. We can talk about this. I said get out. He pressed the knife closer to the woman. She whimpered. Phantom growled. Low. Dangerous. The man's eyes darted to him. What is that? K9 unit. He's trained to protect. And right now you're a threat. Call him off. Let her go first. Standoff. Seconds ticked past. Then the man shoved the woman aside, lunged at Rachel. Knife raised. Phantom moved like lightning. He hit the man's arm. Jaws clamped on the wrist holding the knife. Not biting through. Controlling. The man screamed. Dropped the knife. Phantom took him to the ground. Held him there. No excessive force. Just absolute control. Rachel cuffed the man. Jake secured the knife. The woman collapsed against the wall, sobbing. You're safe now. Rachel's voice was gentle. Paramedics arrived, treated the woman, took the man into custody. Jake shook his head. That was clean. Textbook takedown. Rachel looked at Phantom. He sat calmly, like nothing had happened. He's had good training. Best in the country, apparently. They finished paperwork, drove back to the precinct, logged the incident. Wade was waiting, saw them come in. Heard you handled the 5th Street call. Good work. Just doing the job. Wade looked at Phantom. He's exceeding expectations. Every metric. Response time. Precision. Public interaction. He's what every K9 should be. Rachel felt pride swell. He's special. Wade almost smiled. So are you, Torres. 2 weeks later, Rachel received another letter. Not from DOD this time. From the National Police Dog Foundation. Phantom had been nominated for K9 of the Year. She showed it Collins over coffee. He laughed. Of course he was. Look at everything he's done. It seals too fast. He's only been active 4 months. Time doesn't matter. Impact does. Rachel looked at Phantom sleeping under the table. His vest hung on a chair nearby. Hero emblazoned across it. Collins followed her gaze. You gave him something nobody else could. What's that? Trust. You trusted him when everyone else saw a weapon. You saw a partner. Rachel's throat tightened. He saved me too. I was drowning after Titan. Phantom gave me a reason to keep going. Collins raised his coffee cup. To second chances. Rachel clinked hers against it. To second chances. That night, Rachel sat in her backyard. Phantom beside her. Stars scattered across the sky like spilled diamonds. She pulled out the photo of Reaper. Studied it in the porch light. Your boy's doing good. Making you proud. Phantom's head rested on her knee. We're going to keep going. Keep helping people. Keep showing them what you and your mom represented. A shooting star streaked across the sky. Brief, beautiful. Rachel made a wish. Not for fame or recognition. For more days like this. Simple. Peaceful. With her partner beside her. Phantom sighed. Content. Somewhere in Memphis, a child slept safely because of them. A woman escaped an abusive situation. A teenager decided to become a police officer. Small ripples spreading outward. Rachel looked at Phantom. Really looked at him. Not the hero dog. Not the viral sensation. Just Phantom. Her partner. Her friend. Thank you for choosing me. His amber eyes opened. Held hers. In them, she saw everything. Trust. Loyalty. Purpose. The things that made life worth living. They sat together under the stars. Two survivors. Two fighters. Building something beautiful from broken pieces. And somewhere overhead, maybe Reaper and Titan watched. Proud of what their legacies had become. Not weapons. Not tools. Heroes. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.